Today I'd like to show you how to crochet a bag using old sheets. My name is Angela and I'm crafting from the boat that I live on and sailing up and down the east coast of Australia. For this project you'll need some old sheets, preferably ones that have already lived their life and have holes in them. I had these blue sheets that had worn right through and I started off by cutting around the outside. It was a rainy day, my favourite for crafting. I started off by cutting the sheet into 1-inch strips, but then I found that it was easier to rip. Make sure that you don't rip all the way through because you want to keep it in a continuous line, so when I got to the end I just turned around and went the other way. Use a pair of scissors so that you can cut it and easily rip it. I then wound it into a ball for easy use. Start by making a magic circle. Hold the tail with your thumb, wrap it around, make a cross, hold the extra. With your finger, collect it from underneath the first one, do a twist, and then carefully collect the same one that you've twisted. Once you pull it through, that is what starts your magic circle. Untwist it a little bit and you can see that you can pull and release it. Keep your finger in the hole because that is essentially what is your crochet hook. You're going to be using your fingers to do it instead of using a hook. If you happen to have a huge crochet hook, then use that. It'll be definitely much easier. I might actually try and make one day out of driftwood or something. To start making your single crochets, stick your finger through the magic circle, collect the piece and bring it back through. Wrap it over your finger like you would normally, and then wrap another one around your finger. Pull that one through the other two and that creates your first single crochet. So showing again, through the magic circle, pull it through, making 2, add another one and then pull it through. And again through the magic circle, pull it through to make 2, yarn over your finger or just start pulling the yarn through the other 2. It's a little bit harder using your fingers than it would be to use a crochet hook, but this is all I have at the moment, so I'm making do. So I'm about to count the V's. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so 2 more into the magic circle. Pull the yarn through, so I've got 2 on my finger, and then pull the third piece through. One more time through the magic circle, pull the piece through so I've got 2, and then pull the third through the 2. And then that is 6 single crochets into my magic circle. I then pull the magic circle tail tight. This brings my 6 single crochets together. And then I start looking for the V's because that's where I'm going to be working into next. I find the first V where I'm going to be working into, it's quite tight, so I have to kind of open it a little bit with my fingers. And I stick my finger in, touch the yarn that's going to be coming through, and then I use my pinching fingers to pull it through. I pull it through all the way, and that's the start of my circle. I then look for the next V and I'm going to use this one as my starting. I push my finger through it, untwist it a little bit and grab my working yarn and pull it through with my pinchers. I then put it onto my finger. I then grab the working yarn and pull it through both. To make an increase, we need to go back through the same V that we just did that single crochet in and do the exact same thing. So I've pulled it through and then I'm pulling it through 2 again. And there we have our first increase, 2 single crochets into the first V. From here, what you need to do is the same. In each V, you'll put 2 single crochets, and as you go around, it will get bigger and bigger. You can stop when you're happy with the size. You may have noticed that I started with a smaller ball. I'd used the outside of the sheet to start the inner circle. Now that it's finished, I'm going to connect the tail to the larger ball and keep increasing as I want it to be bigger than it is now. You can easily see the V's here, but I'm going to slow down the increasing now, and I'm going to do 2 in one V and then alternate with 1 in the next V, then 2 in one V and alternate back to 1 in the next V. Now that I'm happy with the size, I'm going to start doing one single crochet in each one only, but instead of going through the whole V, I'm only going to go through the inside part. For this section, you only need to go around one time. Once you get back to the first one that you went through only one section, you can stop there. If it's easier, put a little marker in so you know when to stop. What this does is it starts to create a wall. You can see here that I've got back to my marker and then I've started to create my wall as it's going up. It's kind of like making a corner on the crochet, and now that it's complete I can start going through the V's as both of them, single crochets all the way around into each V. What this will do, it will continue to build the wall upwards. We're having a beautiful day sailing, and I've decided that the bag is getting a little bit too wide, so I'm going to throw in an occasional invisible decrease. To do this is quite simple. Take the next two V's and instead of putting it through any one of them, take the inside section from each one and put it together. Use that as you would a normal V, and at the end of it you'll have one instead of two, and this is your invisible decrease. Do this occasionally whenever you feel like you'd like to bring it in a little bit. We arrived safely at our anchorage for the night, and the next day when we started off it was time to start putting in some handles. Putting handles on can be a little bit tricky. What you're going to need to do is figure out how long, how high, and try and make them even. So it could be a little bit of pulling out if you aren't happy with the results. The thing that I did to try and help me be as even as possible was to lay the bag flat and decide where it was that I wanted to start. I did single crochets for a little bit. When you're ready to start making handles, the first thing that you need to do is make some chain or cable. So that is simply pulling the yarn through and then pulling it through again and again. Once you're happy with the length of the handle, try and match it up evenly on the other side with the bag still laying flat. Then you need to do single crochets and try and match it up. When it's laying flat, turn it over onto the other side and stop making single crochets once you reach the handle on the other side. This is where you'll start to make the chain again. You can count the amount of chain that you made on the other side and try and match it up equally, and then count how many V's you missed in between the gap. Once you've connected the second handle, it's as easy as simply going around making single crochets into each V again. Even when you get to the handle, you just go up and over it. It's a little bit hard to see what I'm doing here, but I hope that it all makes sense in the end. The handles start to look much better once they've got their second row of the single crochets in them. Keep going all the way over the second handle too. When going into cable, instead of the V's, pick the top one and always pick the same top one. If it's twisted, untwist it to make sure that it looks nice and even at the end. To finish it off, simply pull the tail all the way through. If you need to, trim it with a pair of scissors. Pull it nice and tight and then weave that tail into the crochet. And there you have your finished bag. Well done! Check out these rock formations. They look just like the fins of sharks. I finished this bag on a place called Hexham Island. It was quite an ordeal going here because we dragged anchor 6 times. It was a very beautiful place and completely deserted, very tiny except for the few boats in the anchorage. Here's the captain modelling my bag. I'm pretty sure he's imagining throwing all my craft supplies off the boat. I think he was quite impressed. It was very windy out here, so we decided to go back inside. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and happy crafting, everyone!